Oh yeah, it's that time. Go time. What's up, everybody? Annabelle the Animal is here, and you are watching Silo Talk. Today, we got an awesome guest in the house. She is the founder of URA Entertainment, also known as From the Streets to the Set. Please help me welcome the very talented Berenice Molina. Yeah. What an intro. How you doing today, Berenice?
I'm good. I'm pretty good.
Welcome to the Coin Academy here in the lovely city of Pasadena. Thank you for taking your time out of your day to come down here to share your story. So I met you actually last year, and the first time I ever saw you, heard about you was on, it was the last showing of the Romeo and Juliet adaptation from Alex Alfaro, and you actually did the opening speech, and that was the first time that I was exposed to what you were doing and who you were. And like I told you the next time I met you, that you made me cry that day. Because of your story. For people who don't know, your son was the lead in that play. Yes. And you were sharing your story of your son and how that's impacted your life and his life, of what you're doing now with your company.
Yes.
So I am a collector. I am a collector of interesting stories and interesting individuals. And the way that I collect them is that I find their essence. I find out why. Why do you do what you do? You know, most people, when they look at someone, they're like, that's weird. Why are they doing that? That's stupid. What I like to do is like, wow, that's interesting. I really want to know why the hell they do that. And once I find out why, then I go, I understand you. That is me capturing their essence. So the reason that I have this show is I like to interview people that I find highly interesting. And you are that. You know, every time I talk to you, you move me, you know, and you have a gift. You have a gift of moving people and connecting people. So as my good friend Ignacio likes to say, let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's find out who Berenice Molina is, and what was the catalyst to get you to where you're at today with what you're doing with your company. So tell us a little bit about URA Entertainment, what it is, and what the vision of your organization is for the long run.
So URA Entertainment, also known as From the Streets to the Set, is now a full-on entertainment company agency, making its way down to becoming a nonprofit, God willing, so we could keep training and elevating people in our community and from the backgrounds that we come from. And I say we, minorities, because URA stands for underrepresented artist. And that was inspired by the population that I manage. I work with brown, black, there's some Caucasians, they're still underrepresented if you come from gang life, foster care, mental health, substance abuse. And you're the ones that are overlooked and seen but not heard. And if you are heard, it's not taken seriously. So From the Streets of the Set started as a hobby, just recruiting homies from the street and putting them as background. And then as the interest escalated, then it was like, okay, what can we do to get to the next level? And we've reached different levels. Now there are more than just background actors. I manage actors, real actors and artists overall. So it could be in the music, it could be through writing, editing, sound, carrying a photography camera, there's a skill in each and every one of us. And I think that we get overlooked because people are too concerned of what we look like and our background instead of getting to know our internal self and how we are as human beings, because we're human beings.
Yeah, it's so important what you do, especially to the community that you're working with, which is a minority, underrepresented artist, like you say. And the way that I look at the artist is a hero in his own right. And they choose to express themselves through their art form, whether it's acting, singing, dancing, painting, whatever it is they're doing. And what I say is that what you can't say, what you can't express with your words, you'll do it through your art form. So to me, art is a form of therapy, you know, and especially in our community, there's a lot of suffering. There's a lot of hardship. There's a lot of self-doubt. The way I see it, it's a bit of a paradigm that we live in, where we sometimes don't even believe in ourselves with the gifts that we have. So it's important to have people like you to see someone that has potential and guide them on the right path. You know, and the problem is that there isn't a lot of people that are willing to help our people. So, you know, so right. what you do is invaluable. You know, you're the guide, you're the oracle, the wizard that will guide you on your journey of the hero, the artist, you know. And one of those artists is your son, you know, Angel. The first time I met him too was on that same play. And now that I've been more involved with, I took the classes with Alex. I took some one-on-one classes, and I experienced their other plays, and I started to watch more what you guys are doing. He's a very talented artist in his own right, and having you guide him, I think, has helped him a lot, you know. and that story is very impactful in itself. So usually what happens in the hero's journey is that they have their ordinary life. They have their mundane life. Their 9 to 5, their struggle, their hardship, and then something happens where they have a calling. Something is telling them, man, I really want to do this acting thing. I really want to do this whatever, you know. And to the outside world, it might seem like crazy. Like, what are you talking about? You're not going to do anything with that. Right. But the artist, the hero, must go on this journey. So for you, what was the catalyst to make you, you know, decide that this is what you wanted to do? What did you used to do before you got into the entertainment world?
So before I got into this world, or was pretty much introduced to me, is I did gang intervention. I did a lot of advocacy work. Wow. So in my own community that I used to gangbang in.
So you were involved in gangs as well?
Yeah, that my upbringing, I was exposed to it. I came from a broken home, you know, and we came from drugs, poverty, you know, just broken.
Which neighborhood did you grow up in? Are you from Los Angeles?
So I grew up in Hollywood, in the heart of Hollywood.
Okay.
So in a little dead end by Sunset and Western.
A cul-de-sac, a dead end street. Those are the worst. Those are the worst streets.
It's, you know, I think it's like the perception that you see it, right? Because for people, it's like it's the worst. Yes, it's a blessing and a curse, because within that curse, you also create bonds with people because you have each other to survive.
Yeah.
In that neighborhood, you know. But I pretty much grew up I was in the middle. I had older siblings, I had younger siblings, and I was the one that was exposed to the most in like on hands trauma, you know, anywhere from like separation to having to deal with like immigrant parents, to drugs, to substance abuse, to separations, to incest, to like abuse, to a bunch of things I was exposed to. And there were things that the older siblings didn't see firsthand, and then the siblings that came after me were liberated from like certain things, right? So I was pretty much the one that carried the weight and of the siblings of having to see both worlds, you know. I see. So that's what drove me later on to all the toxic relationships, because I'm not an addict of substance, but I will say that I'm the addict of trying to fix people. I have the love bug, right? I get attracted to projects because I want to fix things and people.
You want to fix people that sometimes are not fixable.
Or they're fixable, but they're not at that space there yet, you know, so, or willing. And that's where a lot of my hurt also came from. And I don't like to give all the credit to like any of my past relationships or anything, because I mean, if we want to get down to the nitty gritty, it all stems from childhood.
Yeah.
You know, my dad left when I was 6 years old. Not that I never saw him again, but emotionally, mentally, there wasn't that dynamic, you know. You could be there physically and financially, but to any kid, honestly, for parents out there, materialistic things and money doesn't compensate for quality time. So that's what I was yearning for, and I looked for it in all the wrong places with a lot of the men that somehow, some way imitating pops, you know?
Yeah.
And
it's a common story. You know, it's a common story. It's a repeated cycle, and somebody has to end it. You know, somebody has to be the person to heal their trauma and to change the next generation.
Right.
And it sounds like you were that person in your family. So as you grew up, obviously you have all of this childhood trauma that you're carrying on your back. Was there any moment that you were able to heal that pain, that suffering, that trauma? And how were you able to do that if you were?
I think that healing is a lifelong process. I'm not going to sit here and say, hey guys, I'm completely healed, because then that'd be lying through my teeth. I think that every day could be a struggle, or it could be an opportunity to learn more of yourself, right? I did a lot of things in the running mechanism. Like I ran from things. Either I like to say either I got under somebody, or I would go drink, or I would go get high, or I would go numb the pain of having to deal with my reality, until not so long ago, actually, just sitting there and going through the roller coasters of these things and healing not only from what was happening at the moment, but healing of years and years and years of just being suppressed, like in these feelings, and then either masking it with like work or trying to be busy somewhere or go different things. So I think the healing component came in for me a lot when I got in touch more into my spiritual side, and, you know, with my creator, whom I choose to call God. And I think just really sitting there and analyzing that I am worthy of everything that is a promise to my God, right? Like if he created me in his image, if I am a child of a king, and if I am worthy of love, if I wasn't a mistake, all these things, I think it's just getting to know and believe that for myself. Because anybody could be like, hey, you know what? Like, you're beautiful, you're worthy, you're intelligent. But if you don't believe it for yourself, it means absolutely nothing, you know, honestly. So I think I'm still in that journey. It's a day in, day out. But now I'm more deep into my spirituality and getting to know more of me. Like, who am I besides this broken child, or a mom, a wife, a sister, a daughter? Like, who is Berenice? Like, where did everything shift, or what has made me, what things have made me resilient, right? Yeah. So that's a daily journey.
It's a daily battle. Yeah. It never ends. You know, I tell people it's like taking a shower. You have to shower every day. Every day. So your healing journey, it's a journey that is going to be a lifelong journey. Of course. You know, and I understand what you're talking about, because you know, we're all human. We all experience some kind of pain and trauma. But in the arts, the way that I look at it, especially like a good actor. A good actor is a person that has experienced every emotion available as a human, and then they can embody that in their character. Right. So if you've never had a heartbreak, you haven't experienced life, brother. Right. Sister, you have to experience it. You have to experience the highs and the lows. And the person that has experienced huge ranges, really highs and really lows, has the capability of pulling from their life experiences and creating amazing characters in film and in acting. And our community has that. Yes. We have that. We have the highest highs and the lowest lows. We definitely do. Just a lot of people hold back because of the cultural
stigma, right? Of like, men shouldn't cry, men shouldn't express this, or even some women. I mean, I grew up in a dynamic where I was the only sister in between a bunch of males, and crying was a weakness, you know, like be quiet, or like, why are you doing that? Or I'm really gonna hurt you so you could cry for something. And it's like, I'm already hurt, but what could get worse than this, you know? So you tend to escape that and just say, oh, well, you know, it's not worth speaking about or sharing or whatnot, right? But I mean, someone has to break the cycle.
I'm not gonna put your son on blast or anything, you know, but Alex was, because the first time I started taking classes with him, I didn't realize how emotionally draining these acting classes are gonna be. It almost felt like a fucking therapy session and shit, you know.
They are.
I was like crying and stuff, and I was like letting my rage out. I was letting out my feelings out, and he was telling like, man, like your emotional fluidity is really good, because sometimes people, it's hard for them to, like you said, they have that exterior, that shell. And to me, you know, in our culture, like the men's supposed to be hard. You shouldn't show, you know, emotions. You don't cry in front of other people. It's something that's like put into us as little kids. And he was talking about how Angel, you know, grew as an actor when he was able to connect to he told me that, like, about specifically about your son, and I was like, oh yeah, I could see that, you know, because he comes from the hard streets as well. You know, so in your life, there typically is some kind of mentor that guides you through your healing journey. You know, for me, I have a lot of specific people and specific things that have been critical for my growth as a person and as a man. For you, has there been any mentors that have kind of guided you along this journey?
You know, I would like to think that I've had mentors before they were called, you know, back to heaven, or, you know, back to God. So Mom's was a big, major role model. You know, it was a person I definitely took for granted when she was here. You know, you see a parent go through as many battles and struggles as she did, and like never once complained about it. And she just went straight and provided and elevated and gave us and showed us, and there was nothing to hold back. I think that is embedded in me. You know, and also had, you know, my godmother. I've had like my spiritual family, you know, and my siblings. Despite of how broken like we all have been, we could be ourselves with each other, you know. And in this industry, you know, I like to say that besides partnerships, I am grateful to like Alex Ferrofino, you know, from 4 Ways Entertainment, John, Davey, then, you know, you have Blanca and Alex. And my team, you know, I could be vulnerable with my team, even if I'm in a status of like the boss or of a leadership. I think it's also important to showcase that, hey, I'm human too. And I have to be honest with them, where it's like, hey, I'm taking some time off to refocus, because I can't lead anybody if I'm all jacked up. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's important to identify when you are, and there shouldn't be shame in it. There's no weakness. It doesn't take away from the leadership position, or at least no one ever shown me like, oh, there's lack of respect or lack of love now. Or if anything, there's a more, you know, honest relationship there, where they're like, oh, okay, like she's strong, but even the strong need some help.
You embody the mother archetype, you know, like the traditional Latina mother, where they will take care of everybody first and themselves last. You know, they will work themselves to tooth and nail to make sure that their family is protected, taken care of, they're fed, they're housed, they're clothed, they're emotionally safe, and then they forget about themselves. So where's their emotional safety? Where's their protection? Where's their food? And for me, you know, the way the film right now, I'm currently writing a screenplay, and the name of the film is my mother's name, which is Noemi. And the film is also pretty much encapsulates the essence of our people, right? And for me and our people, you can have the hardest gangster in the world. He will cry like a little baby for his mother, you know? And the mother is essentially the person that holds together the household, you know, because in our culture, the men are just out working. They're usually emotionally unavailable, you know, and they all have trauma as well. So they're usually all alcoholics and here and there. So it's the mother, the one that keeps everything together. And usually they're the last person that gets taken care of, you know, which is why you see this over and over again when someone in our community becomes successful. Their drive is usually to provide for their mother. Finally, it's their turn. Right. You know, you need to stop working. You need to take care of yourself. Here's a new house, here's a new car, here's this, because everything that you've done for me as a child, and now that I've grown to be a man, it is my turn to mature and to give back to what you have done for us. And I see that, you know, where the mother will give and give and give and never take care of themselves, you know, but that's actually very vulnerable of you, that you're aware of it, you know, and you're an empath, so you attract people that need help.
Yeah. I mean, I'm grateful for even that, because I think From the Streets to the Set wouldn't exist if I wouldn't be able to have these skills or blessings or gifts. You know, I think that regularly I've had homies or just people in my family, or even strangers, like people I just meet, and it's like I say, like they have like diarrhea of the mouth, you know, it's like blah, like everything's out there. And you know, I'm grateful for that. And I think that stems from being able to be someone that I wish I had growing up. Yeah. You know, sometimes you become your communities or your teams or whatever, quote unquote hero, because of the experiences that you lacked with the lack of role models, maybe growing up, or the people that you could depend on and be vulnerable with. So I think that it's safe to say that I enjoy being a safe space for people. I was gifted the ability to listen, to be able to speak, and everything that at least I like to think I'm speaking is to edify, you know, the next person. It's nothing should be kept for selfish reasons, because then at that point you stop being of service. And so even the pain that I went through serves for something, you know, whether it be hope, grace, just being able to connect. There's a purpose behind each pain. And I think that people need to tap in more to understand that everything that you're going through or have experienced and yet to come is part of the process. And it's not for selfish reasons. It's to be able to give instead of just keeping in, you know, so.
Right. All right. So, the middle part of the hero's journey is called facing the dragon. And what that is usually the hardest thing that you have to overcome. And if you overcome this hardship, you gain wisdom, right? And you come back to your ordinary life changed. You're a different person. You're no longer the same Berenice, because you've experienced some hard stuff that you had to overcome to accomplish a goal, you know. And for you've accomplished some big goals in your life. But what has been maybe the hardest part of this journey that you had to face?
Man, there's been a few. You know, at the beginning, I'll say at the start of things, is having to develop this vision and go all in after losing my mom, you know, and her not being able to see the changed Berenice.
Yeah, that's really tough.
And because, you know, she has kids, and we all gave her a run for her money. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So to see the other side of everything she sacrificed, everything she would preach, everything she would talk to, everything she prayed for, everything she pleaded.
Yeah. To
see it now surface and she's not here to share that, that gets me, you know?
Yeah.
So grief, like losing her to this life of diabetes and unhealthiness and all this stuff, you know, and then not being able to enjoy that physically. I do believe that she's with me in spirit because I have dodged and succeeded in a lot of things that I know she's been by my side.
Yeah.
And another factor that I've had to face and challenge, or how you call the dragon, is being able to create a safe space and seeing people change their life radically, and in-house is falling apart, meaning my son, you know?
Yeah.
So being able to provide this space for other gang members, for guys that are coming out of jail and prison, and they're taking full advantage of it, and your own flesh and blood does not want any part of that, you know? And it's like, you just want to shake them, you know, like, come on. But I think after 4 years in, actually, surrendering my son, and that as a mother is hard for the moms that have ever had to do that or anything like that. They'll understand like what I'm saying, but to sit there and say, God, I'm his mom on borrowed time. Here you go. I can't do it no more. He's not forgiving me. He's not listening. I am doing everything, bending over backwards and everything. But here he is. So whatever the outcome is, I am trusting you.
Yeah.
Has been my other challenge. And not knowing if I was going to bury him or get a call that he's like, you know, missing, or having to hear the judge give him life in prison or something, because this is just the self-destructive path that he was on while I'm building this, you know? So having these challenges really have been my dragon. And then, of course, in general, going into an industry like blinded of what I'm doing, how I'm going to do it, because I have no experience, no education and background in it or anything. But really, again, just surrendering and saying, all right, let me go back to basics, like going back on public assistance, going back on like Medi-Cal, going back on different things to find my way, because I also have to survive. But then trusting myself enough that my vision is worth pursuing, and still going forward. And it wasn't a selfish reason. It was always for the next person, and till this day is still for the next person. Yeah. So, I've had a few emotional roller coasters through this process.
Yeah, the way I look at it is you have to find a meaning to your suffering. Because if you don't, then you will live in a world of constant pain.
Right.
You know, you're constantly looking at your past as something that's bringing you down instead of something that's building you up. There's this story about two brothers. They're twin brothers. They lived a horrible life. One of these guys, they interviewed him, and he's a very successful lawyer, attorney. He has a huge practice. Very wealthy, successful life, happy family, kids, wife, all the bells and whistles, you name it. His brother is a drug addict, in and out of prison, a complete screw up, right? And their childhood was horrific. Trauma, abuse, you name it, they had it. And they asked one of the brothers, the drug addict, in and out of prison, like, why are you this way? And he says, well, what do you expect? You know, my dad was a drug addict. He beat the shit out of us every single day. My mom was a drug addict. We were in foster care. We were abused by our foster parents. You know, I'm escaping this. This is what do you expect of me? And then they asked the twin brother, well, why is it that you're successful in your brothers? He's like, well, what do you expect? You know, my childhood was completely jacked up. My mom was a drug addict. My dad was abusive. We got, sexually abused by our foster parents. I didn't want my family to experience that. That was the person that made the change, right? So for anybody out there that's going through life and they're trying to drown out their pain and their suffering, that is not the answer. The answer is that you have to feel your pain. You have to feel your suffering. You have to go through grief. That is part of the healing process. That catharsis of letting go, surrendering, like you said, to your life's journey. Then you have to find purpose for it, and then create a vision of where you want to be. You know, what is it that I want in this life? Who am I? For me, it took a huge a traumatic experience for me to finally understand that, right? And then once I was in the darkest moments of my life, what I did is I went on a fucking walk, like in the middle of the night. It was a long and hard ass walk. In this walk, what I did was I first started off this walk in a very pessimistic and, woe is me type of shit. I was just crying and asking God, why? Why am I suffering? Why is this happening to me? Then I had to understand that it was me. I fucked my life up. There was no one to blame. I had to take on all the responsibility. And what that did, it took off like a weight off of my back. I no longer blamed, man. It was my childhood. It was my ex-wife. It was my job. It was this. It's no longer nobody's fault but mine, right? And then the next thing I had to do, I had to forgive. That was really hard. I had to forgive anyone that I felt had wronged me. Because I had so much rage inside because of this resentment of what I felt others had done to wrong me, whether they disrespected me or they didn't see something that I wanted, whatever it was, right? And then I had to forgive myself for all the stupid shit that I'd done in my life, which was a lot, you know? But when I finished this walk, it was like a 4 hour walk. I didn't even know where I was when I finished it. I had to get like an Uber back home. I felt like this huge stress come off of my back. And what happens when you let go of all of your pain and your trauma, you're light to be able to run towards the direction that you see. I no longer had things in my way, because when you're trying to accomplish something, all of your negative thoughts are barriers. You know, I want to be an actor. And then here comes your stupid mind, like, yeah, you ain't gonna do that shit. You suck. You have no background in acting. I want to do this. I want to do that. And sometimes there's an internal battle in all of us. There is what we show the world, and then there is what we don't, what's inside. And in order for you to accomplish things, you have to be congruent in your thoughts, your words, and your actions, you know? And for me, that's been a daily battle as well. Like you said, it doesn't end. You have to be conscious of this. So what I like to do is I like to surround myself with people that are like-minded and that are going in the same direction, which is why I gravitated towards Chicano Hollywood with, From the Streets to the Set, with Four Ways, with, Alex Alfaro. You guys are my people. You're my tribe. We're all Latinos, Hispanic, Chicanos, whatever you want to say, we're raza, right? So we have experienced very, very similar lives from our childhood to our adulthood. It's all the same story. You know, but we all express it in a different way. The way I look at it, it's like a ball that you push in the water down. You keep pushing it down, right? Eventually it explodes. And the way that it explodes is different for everybody. Some people choose to use drugs and become complete addicts and drown out their emotions, alcohol, cocaine, you name it, fentanyl. Other people, they express it with rage. They beat the hell out of people. They beat the hell out of their own wife or their own kids. They have so much pain inside that they rather inflict it on someone else than to finally take self-accountability. Take that walk. Go on that walk, brother. Other people, they avoid, like you said, they run away. They choose dopamine hits, sex, whatever it is, something that's just going to get them away from feeling
instant
everything.
Gratification.
So for me, you have to feel your emotions, and then you have to express them. Your shadow, the darkest part, everybody has what we would call your best version, right? To me, my best version is up here. He's a bad motherfucker. He probably has a six-pack right now. He's not there yet, But we all have also our worst self.
Yeah.
My worst self is a bad guy too. He's not a good person.
Of
And
course.
you have to make a conscious decision that you choose the good over the bad, right?
Yeah, well, which one are you going to activate? You know, and I think that for a very long time, the negative was activated, but we're all good actors because
Yeah.
we've always put on a mask,
The
right?
mask.
Oh, I'm good. Oh, yeah, no, everything's chill. Yeah, no, that hurt, but I'm over it, or this or that. And I think like once you tap in and really sit with yourself, right? Like this weekend, we heard a sermon and it really hit where it was like, you know, we're an apple, but we're so consumed with what tree we fell out of. We're so consumed with the stem instead of the seeds that we have internally, you know? So I think that if we stay focused on not what tree we fell off or who, you know, dropped this or that stem, but just really dig deep and make these seeds bloom and focus on that, then we have good parts of ourselves that live in all of us, even from the people that wronged us. We're talking from childhood, right? My daughter wrote this poem, and a part that really hit was, you know, she's referring to her drug addict father, and she's like saying, you know, you like to time travel, and I get it with this addiction, but it's okay because I'm a mirror of you. The good things live in me, the parts that know how to love, the parts that know how to feel, the parts that know how to be generous. And I think that if we focus on those things instead of always owning, because the mouth, the tongue is a powerful thing. So whatever you tell yourself is what you're going to own, what you're going to accept, and what's going to take control. So if you're constantly saying, like the two brothers, oh, well, what do you expect? Like my dad was this, that, whatever. You're already setting yourself up to fail. But if you say, yeah, this is my reality, but it's not my destiny, then this is where I own it back and I take control back, right? So I like to say, like, I am my father and mother's child, but I am not my father nor my mother. You know what I'm saying? And that's the good or the bad, because I am Berenice, and I expect my children to grow up and say, well, I am my mom and my dad, but I am not their mistakes. I am not their, you know, accomplishments, because they have a own journey to also walk, you know? So the vision that is there for them, or what's being mirrored, is one, what does mom or dad do with the pain that is inflicted? Two, what does mom and dad do or react to the trials and tribulations of this life, you know? And I think that it goes into a domino effect. And I think that's why I'm so grateful that even though I didn't come from a 2-parent household and like loving parents that showed me like all this affection and love and whatnot, they showed me that no matter what happened, you're getting back up. No matter what, whether it be beat, whether it be bruised, whether it be whatever, your goal is to get back up. How you do it, whether it's stumbling and holding yourself against the wall, whether it's like crawling to your like safety, whatever, it doesn't matter, as long as you don't stay dropped, you know? And that's always been what I strive to. I might be hurt. It might look like you defeated me, but you best believe that while I'm sitting down there, I'm working for a strategy to come back up. And when I do come back up, it's going to be undefeated. And then I'm going to end up checkmating you or just technical knockout, you know, because, and that's going to swerve in a direction where I'm going to show it not in a vengeful way, not in a way that I'm going to lower my standards and get to your level of how you hurt me. But then the best revenge that I feel people could do is elevate. Succeed. And then people are going to sit there and like, how'd that happen? You know?
You can't be denied when your success is self-evident. You know, you don't have to brag. It is self-evident. You can see it, right? And I study Stoic philosophy a lot. Marcus Aurelius' famous quote is, the best revenge to your enemies is to not become them, right? And there's something I say a lot is there's something about you that you can't get rid of. No matter what you do, you can never get rid of this, that you are 50% your mother and you're 50% your father.
Right.
At your essence, your DNA is encoded with their DNA.
Right.
So you can hate your father, you can hate your mother, you can love them. It doesn't matter. You're still a part of them. But you're right. Your life's journey is your own, and you are the person in the helm of it. You are in control of it. The problem is that most people are not aware of that until it's too late. There's critical moments in everybody's life where I call them points of no return. If you get your arm chopped off, it's too late. If your arm is lost, they might be able to reattach it at the right time. But there's a point where you can no longer reattach that arm and it's gone, right? And now your life, you have to reassess your life on the new you, right? This is the new person. So what I like to do is I like to create chapters of my life story, just like a movie, just like a film. What is the chapter that you're in right now? Is this like the worst part? Are you in you are in your act 2 or where are you in your life's journey? So for you now, how long has your business been up? When did you start it? What do you see happening in the next 5 to 10 years with URA Entertainment?
We've been up and going since 2017, and where I see it, the possibilities are endless, dude. So I dream big, I manifest big, and it's gonna happen. But I see it being a full-blown place where people could still come and learn, still evolve, still grow, but not only in LA, not only in Southern California, but we're talking about cities, states, countries, international, because we're everywhere, right? It's like that saying, we're like roaches, so why not bring something everywhere, right? But the vision is to create something like the person I respect the most, and I am one day going to work with him, and this is going to be on record, or work with them, is Tyler Perry and Adam Sandler. Bring the brown version of these guys female, because they put their people on and they tell their stories unapologetically.
Yes.
And I think that that's one of the things that us as raza sometimes fail to do, because either we play clowns and make a joke out of everything, or we're that's too deep and I'm not ready to heal, or I haven't healed from that, or my family. And I think it's like to the point where it's time to just keep it 100, and I think that URA is going to be just more than also an entertainment production casting company. I believe that people will come out of URA being motivational speakers. Some people will come out and being successful directors, writers, people that are going to touch the world with their pain turned into purpose, with their setbacks turned into comebacks, with their tests turned into testimonies, whether what their mess turns into messages. And we're going to inspire one nation at a time, one international place at a time, one language at a time, because one thing that the human race has in common is that we all want to succeed, we all want to feel loved, we all want to be a part of, and we all want to be heard. And if we focus more on what brings us more together and the common denominator, instead of focusing like, oh, well, he's black and he's Asian and he was born on that side and he doesn't speak the language and whatever, then we're always constantly going to create a division between us, instead of saying, okay, well, we might have a language barrier, but now we have Google Translate and now we have this. Why can't I still work over there in China? Or why can't all these people are still underrepresented, period, right? Yeah. So why not think in a broader and dream big and actually execute it? Because like you said earlier at the beginning, is all of us have skills internally, and what we fail to do is that we're too busy. I messing with everybody else and what they lack and what they have, and I wish I had that, and I wish I had. But guess what? You have that. Yeah. Just stop looking outside and look within, and then execute it. If you are failing to do that, is because there's a part of you that fully doesn't trust yourself in order to do it. Because if I ran on fear, which fear and faith don't live in the same place, if I ran on fear, I would have still been working for the city of LA, getting my 401k, my medical, my whatever, and being comfortable. People don't grow up from a comfort zone. Right. And I think that we've been conditioned, especially from our parents, if you come from immigrant parents, that, well, if you have a city job and you have benefits, like, you're good there, you made it. Nah, man, there's more than that. Like, I am blessed to say that I get to travel with my kids and show them different parts. I look back at how many places my parents traveled. I mean, back to their countries, that's cool. Yeah, for sure. But there's a whole world out there. Yeah. And for our people to be the most, segregated while you have the opportunities laying in your hands, it's like Denzel said it the best in one of his speeches, right? What would happen if you're on your deathbed and every spirit that came to visit you was an idea that you didn't fulfill, was a vision that you didn't go after, a dream that you didn't pursue, and they all die with you? What justice did you do for that? And so for me, whether I'm scared shitless or not or whatever, like, I'm gonna go for it, because what's the worst that could come like from it, right? I think the beauty with our people that like us that have hit a rock bottom is that the only place you could go from there is going up. So what worse can it get? I mean, you've already heard no, you've already been rejected, you've already been neglected, you've already been overlooked. So then what happens when you take a chance on yourself and you're like, all right, well, I mean, I'm familiar with that. And that's why, not to put it out there, but there's other successful races or people that have a hard time when they hit rock bottom, because they never felt what it is to start from the bottom. And we are very familiar with what that seems like. So, hey, that's cool. If I lose it all one day, I mean, God forbid, but if that does happen, then praise God. And guess what? I'm going to keep building. And what's the next step? And I'm going to be all right, because I've already learned how to survive from that, you know? But there's a lot of people that stay like stagnant in like the what could have, should have, like that doesn't exist. You know, there's someone that I heard say, the past is not here anymore. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow's not here, and all you have is today. So what are you doing with your opportunities today? I can't be worried about what already happened. I can't change that. And I can't worry about what is not here yet, because I don't even know if I'm gonna wake up tomorrow. So what are you doing with the now? You know, because that's all you have, and that's all you have control of. And then also identifying what you really have control of. And I could control my emotions, I could control my thoughts, and I could control how I decide to move with these things. But then if I allow others to dominate that, then I'm losing, because I also know that the one that dominates the mind controls all. And you are your own architect, you know, of your destiny. So to everybody out there, like I like to say, like, miss me with that bull when you tell me like, oh, I can, or I wasn't given the same opportunities, because I see homies, like, I mean, we grew up in the hood. I was told one day, hey, if you want your son to be successful or like even live, you got to move out. And in my mind, I'm like, but we carry ourselves wherever we go. So I could do the whole geographic move and move and get into the suburbs and everything. But if this ain't right and this ain't right, then guess what? I'm going to self-destruct regardless. So I'm not going to do that. Until this day, I live in the hood, the same hood that my son's from, the same where he was running the streets, and then going back, right? Because one thing that God does too is that even though you don't want to go to the place that broke you, He's going to put you back, but he's going to put you to go and heal somebody, you know? And I think that if you own it and you accept it and say, all right, cool. Like, now I'm back with the tools and I didn't give up in the process. That's why we have a lot of suicidal people, and also people that actually follow through with suicide. And then I just sit there and I'm like, damn, if you just held on through the process, because it's in the process where you're getting molded. Like diamonds and all that don't become a diamond. It's in the process of being crushed. I mean, you have good wine. What happens to the grape? You're being crushed. You're being stepped on. You're being whatever, right? It's in the process. If people stop in that process, then what do you get? You don't get that good glass of wine. You don't get that diamond. And the beautiful part of becoming a diamond in that wine, guess what? You'll never go back to being a grape, and you'll never go back to being charcoal. Yeah. And I think that that's where people fail to understand there's a process to this. Like, just don't give up in the process. And everything that is going on, whether it's pain, whether it's anger, whether it's sadness, whether it's loneliness, it's cool. One thing I've learned in this journey, just in the last 40 days, is isolation doesn't mean like rejection. I'm being isolated, but to be positioned somewhere, you know? And if I just stay patient through that process, then I'm going to get my end game, because I'm going to go forward with it. But if I give up in that, then I'm going to be one of those people like, what would have, what could have, what should have. Like, I don't want to live in that. We've done that too long. And, you know, we could like talk about this like all day long, but I just think that my goal with URA is to keep empowering people to look within and say, I too am worthy of being here. I too have a voice. My story could not be told by nobody else but me. So let me own this. Like, God did not make a mistake by creating me. I am not what people in society have thrown me to be. I'm not a number. I'm not some psych ward patient. I'm not like, this is who I am, who I was designed to be, and now I'm going to execute that. And I believe that different people that are going to come out from URA in their own way, in their own testimony, are going to change the world. And I am looking forward to it. I want to sit there one day and see like Jake or Alex Gibson, my own son, like get an Academy Award one day and be like, hey, like I did it too. And we're going to be up there and we're going to like, we own this platform too. It's not just designed for one demographic. This is designed for the people that go for it. It's not for people that were handed to it. I mean, the people that were even handed this lifestyle sometimes don't even make it to that. So where's the reward of getting somewhere if there's no struggle in it? If it didn't cost you anything, that there will be no appreciation for it. Right. You know, so I think that our people have a lot to learn when it comes to staying in the process and believing yourself and not limiting your own thinking. You are the only person that could jack it up for yourself. Right. That's it. Nobody else. I don't care what society says. I was told that my kids were going to be a statistic. My son is 22, no kids. My daughter is 17, no kids. And they're both great children. They've made mistakes, sure, whatever, who hasn't, but they were doing way better than what I was when I was 22 and 17. So don't come and tell me. And if I believed the statistic idea that I'm going to sit there and contemplate that, and what your mind feeds is what you will deliver eventually. And I'm not going to entertain anything that is designed to bring my kids, my family, my culture, my race, my team, my background to a degrading form. I'm gonna own it. We could be a little destructive. We self-sabotage. Whatever. It is what it is. But I'm gonna own that, and now I'm gonna give you a shift of it, and then I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do with it. You know. And I think URA will continue to do that. We will be going into the prisons where there is no reform. We will go and change like policy, God willing, to where there is something that requires for you to do some type of healing in an art form, because that is the most liberating way of doing it without having to hide who the hell you are. You know, so mark my words, like we will be up and going. I mean, we just added a photography program. We're getting into like the podcast component. Like are designed to tell our stories, and nobody could shut us up until they drop the casket, at least for me. That's right. You know what I'm saying? And that's that.
That's awesome. Respect to that, you know, because you have your company and you have your vision, and you know, I as well have mine. Mine is Dreams to Reality. So it's Dreams to Reality Media, Dreams to Reality Podcast, Dreams to Reality Network. And my vision is to help people turn their dreams into reality. I want to help you create that vision that you have, you know. And I like what you said about, you know, the way that you look at it is like you connect to Tyler Perry and Adam Sandler, but in your world, you know. I look at people like universes. They have their own ideology, they have their own perspective, they have their own philosophy, and you do too. and all you want to do is you want to express that to the world, and you want to bring your people up as you're doing that. And I'm doing the exact same thing in my world, in my universe. And luckily we're in the same highway. We're going the same direction. So the best way that we can accomplish that is together. Especially in a world, the world of entertainment, it's not one person. It's a team. It's an organization. It's a movement. And something that's been a common denominator, not a common denominator, but something that's kind of common in our culture is that we tend to bring each other down, like the crabs in the bucket mentality, right? When one person starts to get some shine, the haters come out, and it's been something that's kind of been preventing the true, authentic culture to be represented in the arts. There's this, like, I call it the Taco Bell art form in the entertainment industry, the watered down version. But our stories are raw, like you said, and we have a philosophy. We come from a warring tribe. That mentality that you said, like, yeah, we get fucking knocked down to rock bottom, to zero. We will come back from the grave. That's why my symbol, my logo is the phoenix, because the phoenix is reborn from ashes, and he is a majestic creature because he has the ability to be reborn. I have died many times and come back to life, spiritually, mentally, very close physically, And because of that, there is certain power that I have. And you've done the same thing in your world. You have certain power about you, I could tell, because of the life that you've lived. And now you're going to use that to empower others and help others grow in their own right, So I back everything that you're doing with URA Entertainment. I back everything that your team is doing. And any way that I can help you guys, I'm here as an asset as well. And, I think the long term, we are going to accomplish what we set out to do, and we never give up. We're always going to move forward and keep going and keep getting better. So for a aspiring artist out there that maybe doesn't have representation, that doesn't really know which avenues to take, what is some advice you can give to them? Or what can, like, an aspiring actor do to actually make it?
I think that first and foremost, you have to really make sure that this is what you want to do. This isn't a hobby. This isn't to get famous. This isn't to make all the money in the world. Because if that's your drive, then it's going to fail already, Storytelling is exactly that. Being able to tap in, change lives, tell your story, but being honest to yourself more than anything, right? Because if I'm faking the funk, anybody that's going to see the screen is going to know she's faking the funk, especially if people that have lived certain lifestyles. So first and foremost, do your homework. Like, I guess so many DMs like, hey, how can I become an actor or whatever? Well, what have you researched on it? And then people just want all the answers. And it's like, where's your commitment to yourself in this career? Have you Googled something? Have you watched YouTube on how to do a self-tape? Have you tried and went to acting school or training? Or because if you want something handed to you, like, those years are gone when I started recruiting people like, hey, you just want to be on set. Now it's, what do you want for yourself and how are you going to go get it? But also for the up and coming artist that has done so much work and probably sometimes feels defeated, or like, this is not going somewhere, or I'm not where I should be, or whatnot, I would say that everything worth having takes time. Nothing was done overnight. And keep believing in yourself, keep putting in the work. It'll pay off. It will, if it's not this year or next year, shoot, I know people that after 10 years, and I think people fail to see, again, the process of things. So keep grinding. And if you believe in yourself as much as you claim to believe in yourself, then the work will show, like you said. And any step forward is still a step, right? Another thing that I love about Denzel, what he said is, don't confuse movement with progress. you could run in place and not go nowhere.
Yeah.
So make sure that every step you take forward is leading you to your next move of where you're trying to take your career. And if you know that maybe acting isn't for you, but you love the entertainment world, then be realistic and be like, hey, maybe acting isn't for me, but I could assist in the lighting or in the sound or whatever, because it also takes a village to create these things. And if we leave our pride and our ego to the side, then we will evolve and be able to get to the next level. So I would just really, really cold-heartedly say, follow what you decide to do and be honest with yourself. And I tell my team all the time, not everybody's going to be an actor. Not everybody's meant to do this. But do you want to really be in changing lives and storytell? Cool. Can you like hold a boom? Can you edit sound, light, you know, the video? Can you videography? Can you be handy with a camera? Can you do that? Cool. Now you are still a part of an ensemble that makes everything move forward.
Right.
You know, so I would just keep pushing people to like be honest with themselves and say if this is really what they want to do. But you have it in you for sure. Just dig in little places and put hands on in everything if you have to, until you find what really hits home and says, I want to do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
you know? That's
awesome. So what are some of the upcoming projects that URA has going on right now? Is there any films, short films, features that you guys are working on? Yeah,
so I am proud to announce that we are dropping Die Like a Man, our first feature that we were given an opportunity to be on by Eric Nazarian.
Oh, wow.
And he did a whole ensemble of training, choosing, spending time with our guys and going through the storyline of his feature and giving us an opportunity. And finally, after 3 years, we shot this 3 years ago, it will be coming to life. Die Like a Man. I'm super proud of that film. I will also make my debut as an actress in that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Congratulations. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah. And it's going to touch a lot of people. It's not another gang movie. This is a detrimental movie designed to showcase what happens in a coming of age movie where a boy thinks that there's a certain route that he has to take to become a man. Yeah. And it's most of the time a self-destructive. So it's not glorifying the life. It's more of giving you hands-on of what happens internally, spiritually, mentally, physically, and in your surroundings of when you take a destructive path.
Right.
You know, so it gives us a space to men and young men to be vulnerable and see themselves in this film. And even though people say, oh, people are not doing that anymore or whatever, I mean, this is still the life that we live, and we do have neighborhoods still out there that suffer crime, violence, identity crisis of like what role you play in your family and whatnot, stepping into shoes if not knowing your father or your mother or whatever. Yeah, you reenact things because you want to belong, right? So Die Like a Man coming this year. And I'm also very proud of my son. He beat me to the punch, but he wrote, inspired a short film, The Past Never Forgets, that's in pre-production. And
we did the table read yesterday for that.
Yes, we did the table read, and just hearing it come to life and knowing that here's my son who at one point was told like either he's gonna die or, you know, growing up with like IEPs and like just stuttering or antisocial, speech delay and whatever, wrote his first film for his first short, and then carried also, like you said at the beginning, a Romeo and Juliet 2-hour play. I mean, don't come and tell me no bull that it can't be done. But so The Past Never Forgets, Die Like a Man. And we're going to also be creating more things. There's a play in the near future called Below Sycamore that's also touching on recovery and
that's a really interesting story.
Yeah,
or play. It's
play. And we'll talk more about that coming. But we're just getting in the flow of things again and just creating. So, but those two mainly specifically I'm very proud of. So Die Like a Man and The Past Never Forgets. Stay tuned for it.
Awesome. Well, Berenice, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story, sharing your wisdom, your insight. I know anybody out there that's listening will be impacted, and hopefully they can apply some of the wisdom that you shared in their life to help them down the right direction. Like I said, I support everything that you do. I look forward to working with you in the future. And where can we find you? Where can our people subscribe? Is there a website that you guys have, or is everything on Instagram? Where can we find you?
A lot of our stuff is on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, From the Streets to the Set, and our website is soon to be developed, so we'll have that then. But for now, everything is like social media. And email, you guys could email ura.casting@gmail.com and inquire. Just be patient. We have a lot of work, but we eventually will get back to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, guys. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to the Instagram. Follow Berenice at From the Streets to the Set, and we'll see you guys next time.